Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I've been wanting for so long to take a deep dive into Bjork, but I didn't know where to start. Our patrons pointed me in the right direction with this patron choice song. This is just one of the many reasons that I love Patreon. It lets me connect more closely with people. It lets me discover music I wouldn't have otherwise found. Also, when I'm stuck, I can just hop into Discord and ask patrons for help. Thank you all. Let's get to it. Okay, I got some shivers in there. The yodels she's just incorporating into the whole line are fantastic. They're kind of wild. It feels like sort of there's some sort of inner beast that's unleashed for just a moment and then brought back in. It's just, those are so fun. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. I'm gonna discuss a whole bunch of points. This is really, really, really interesting. So I have a feeling we're going to be pausing and going back a lot. I love the way that there's just a tiny bit of silence before the boom. And it sounds, gosh, the percussion in this it feels so raw. It's not like an electric kit that we've got going on in so many different DAWs these days. It's got some really good tone to it. Oof. Yeah, just a tiny moment of silence so that boom hits harder. Ooh.
If you ever get close to a human and human behavior, be ready to get confused. And me and my head after.
So there are so many conflicting elements that somehow have been brought together in a way that doesn't really conflict at all. One of the things is the drums. There's a pitch. These are pitched percussion, right? So we've got a little bit of some sort of sense of tonal center that is developed from this initial drum line at the bottom. But there's not much pitch going on in that first barrage of instruments. And even the drums have a little bit of bendiness to them, so they aren't really solidly establishing a key.
If you ever get close to a human.
And when she starts singing, her pitches don't really line up with where I would think that the tonal center maybe was, just depending on that first sort of quasi-establishment of a tonal center from the drums. She's going in a different direction, but somehow it's blending and it's working together. I think that the thing that really stitches it all together at this point is this just incredible percussive drive in both the voice and the instruments.
If you ever get close to a human and human behavior, be ready to get confused. And me and my head after this.
It almost feels to me like there are two tone centers that are already going, which is very, very advanced for classical music and not what I would expect to hear in something that went a little more mainstream as well. By the way, I have heard Bjork, I think, in a couple different things. more jazzy things. I think it's "Oh So Quiet" is one of them. It was a song I used to do some swing dancing to, which was really fun. And and then I think there might have been something, I want to say in Mona Lisa Smile. There was a jazz piece where I was just really blown away by the creativity. But this is my first time taking a real look at her career, doing a first time deep dive analysis of her vocals. And let's get into the actual vocal technique now.
And human behavior, be ready to get confused. And me and my head after this.
So she's doing several different things that I again find fascinating. She's just like a kaleidoscope of fascination for me already. She sings on an airy edge, but then will just go into a little bit more of a condensed sound, just all of a sudden. And that helps then with things like that yodel. When she's doing a yodel, it is so lightly executed and with this strange precision that feels like it's in like a different key. It's mind-boggling to me. She also is extremely precise about the rhythm of her words and the rhythm of her breaths. For example, behavior, at one point she has a breath in the middle of that word, and she's using it as a rhythmic emphasis.
And human behavior,
Right there.
be ready to get confused. And me and my head after.
I love that
There's
yodel.
definitely no logic to human behavior, but yet so irresistible. And me and my fear can. And then
And there's a shift in the key up right there. That's interesting. I love how devoid of any real chordal structure it is. It feels very avant-garde to me. Really, really cool. What also, I think this was on her debut solo album, I believe. This was a way to get started. Actually, let me just read you a quote from our patron. This is from Wormcutter. Picking only one song from this force of artistic energy is hard, but Human Behavior is a track that kicked off Bjork's solo career after the Sugar Cubes. See, that's the kind of information I needed to understand about Bjork. I love that this is the kind of thing that patrons can say, here, Elizabeth, you're going to love this, and let us give you all the background information on it too, so you love it even more. I just adore this. With her signature yodels, growls, and wails, she makes you believe she is something other, looking in at humanity with a lot of questions. I'm totally getting that vibe. It's awesome. Instead of suggesting one of her many great live performances, I've chosen, I think this is Michael Gondry's or Michel Gondry's landmark Soviet era animation inspired music video, which is, it's definitely, it's also bold. It feels avant-garde too, which kicked off a trend of Bjork merging her songs with visuals that make the resulting video a piece of art in its own right. So I am paying special attention to the music video too. So far, it's like wild enough, as is the music, that I'm really not sure what to think of it. Let's keep going.
to human behavior,
That breath is
so
interesting.
irresistible. And me and my fear can. And there is no more uncertainty. Terribly moody.
So right there, we finally have a lot more tonal elements entering in. It has been empty. It feels almost like a Native American drum circle with a singer on top up to this point, and I love it. It's not it that fits this whole image as well of sort of traipsing through the forest. It almost feels like a hunter and a bear. I know there's a very loose Goldilocks theme in here somewhere, but I would say overall, this has an extraordinary, sophisticated, yet primal feel so far. I want to go back one more time and catch it.
And there is no more
Interesting.
uncertainty. It's terribly, terribly moody. A human behavior that all of a sudden turn happy and dead.
She looks so young here. Incredibly young. How old was she? I think this is 1993. For some reason, I was thinking she would be in her 20s, but gosh, she looks even younger. But she's already been the front of another band. I don't know. She feels like a musical prodigy in so many ways to me. Extraordinary, wild. She continues to carry a very specific tune that she has lots of inflections around. So there'll be times when it feels a little more spoken. In the vocal, it's like in its own zone, and the music is in its own zone. But when those things continue to groove together for such a long time, our ears usually adapt to it and say, okay, that's fine, even though it's still like really odd and cool. Back here.
It's terribly, terribly moody.
That's a great example of this quasi-spoken song. It's like a, gosh, like not Singspiel. There's the Stimme. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the term for it. Sprechstimme. It sounds like Sprechstimme, which is like speak, sing voice. There's a hint of a pitch in there, but it's walking that line between is this singing or is this nice drawn out spoken voice.
It's terribly, terribly moody. A human behavior that all of a sudden turn happy and dead. And my head after the old to get
There are instances where she dives in with a lot of extra air in the sound, and there's just like tiny bit of gravel, like a tiny bit of grit that comes in, and that is fascinating to me. I'm not really sure what physically she is using to create that sound. There's so many different things that you can use in your vocal tract to create a little bit of extra edge like that, but I hear it so deliberate, and again, it feels like an emphasis that is not only to give more emotion and expression, but also emphasizing a lot of the rhythm.
moody. A human behavior that all of a sudden turn happy
Like that.
and dead.
Just a tiny bit of growl, followed by a yodel.
But oh, to get involved in the exchange of human emotions, it's ever so satisfying.
Hedgehog.
And I'm saying my head, and there is no man.
Oh, wow. That's the first time I've seen that perspective of her being so much smaller than this other person. That feels like we got a little bit of beanstalk giant happening there. Also, this hedgehog that's driving and that narrowly missed the car earlier is... wait, is this the bear that's driving? I might be wrong. The shadow made me think it was the hedgehog for a bit. I'm not sure what all of those connections are, but everything about it just feels beastly, right? There's like beasts from a Grimm's fairy tale kind of beast, right? That there's some sort of interesting twist to it. They're weirdly human. I guess if we kind of take a step back and think about how all of the lyrics are pointing to this idea that human behavior is illogical. It's weird. Um, I do think that this feels like it's like looking in at the human behavior as if you were the animals, if you were the hedgehog and the bear, uh, or maybe a child that is very animal like naturally and is looking at adults and be like, yo, y'all are weird. It's so strangely insightful.
Oh, to get involved in the exchange of human emotions. It's ever so satisfying. And insane.
I just love that way she emphasized satisfying. There's so much fun in the way she says that. Like, you can't say satisfying and have that little extra pause between without taking a little bit of glee in the moment. It's like satisfying. It feels fun and it adds a certain fierceness to it as well. I totally dig it. I'm gonna go back one more time.
It's ever so satisfying.
That.
And there is no
Ooh. There's some congas that got added there. There's so much percussion in this. And we got some strings at that point. The percussion and a lot of the different sounds in the back almost lend itself to be slightly industrial in feel, but then you have that like this primitive kind of element to it. It's a fascinating blend of sounds. I guess that's what we really get to boil it down to. And it does remind me a little bit of some of the sounds from Godsmack, which I just recently discovered and totally love. So I wonder if there's ever been a crossover between the two. I know that Bjork has done a ton of collaborations with other artists. Doesn't surprise me. She's just insanely creative. Who wouldn't want to collaborate with this sort of bursting creativity? I love, there's so many moments where she's going up into this really light head voice and just hovering there. Oh, I have a lot more to say on her vocal technique, but we're gonna keep going for now. Such an interesting person. Is she the hedgehog? That's the cross I'm getting right now. Ooh, okay. I thought I was going to talk about her technique, but we're going to listen to this moment before I say anything. Ooh, that's a great example of how she's using her different registers to accentuate different kinds of timbres. When she flips up higher and it's that got like a nice light ethereal kind of feeling, that's going to be her head voice. And then there are times when she will belt something out. It's got a lot more strength to it. That's going to be, sometimes we'll just say chest voice for that. Some people will call it mixed at that point, but really I would say like it's a full chesty belt. And the way she covers the same pitch range with different registers, I think indicates a lot of vocal control that just allows her more access to vocal expression. Super cool. Overall, though, her technique feels extremely raw to me. There are ways she approaches it that feel like she isn't necessarily focusing on tons of resonance the way that classical training will usually get to. She also isn't overloading tons of air to have a huge, long, drawn out note. She has great moments of belting, but mostly I feel that the magic and the enchantment that her voice brings to us has to do with this more raw approach. It feels human. It has imperfections in it, and that makes it easy to connect with. Practice a little bit more. I love the layering, by the way. Right, that was like frayed just a tiny bit. And there's your nice head voice. I love that they're using different images in the video to mimic some of the reverb and the production I hear put on her voice in those particular layers. That's very clever. Very, very clever. One more time in that section. Look at that grin. Wow. Oh, the bear ate her. That's what I'm getting. Oh, yeah. Wow, those images give you the impression both that the bear ate her and that she has the bear entirely in her head. It's quirky. Rawr. Rawr. I do appreciate that we don't have total gory, bloody violence, but still rawr. The introduction of this really distorted electronic sound was very surprising. Though I guess I don't know that I should be surprised at this point. This explores creativity in a different level. There is something about it that reminds me of Aurora, and I bet that Aurora was heavily influenced by Bjork. Back a little bit. We'll keep going quite a bit more here. So many different textures and uses of them in the song. So danceable. Oh, it's winding down. Definitely no logic. I love the way she applies this idea of no logic to human behavior. And it also goes so strongly with the entire premise of the musical composition, right? We don't ever get this incredibly clear tonal center set up she's in her own world at times, just tons of different awesome rhythmic elements that somehow make you want to dance and be like, yeah, I'm vibing with this song. If you want to hear some more of Aurora, which I mentioned, I think I hear some strong influence between these two. I think that'd be a really interesting comparison. Check out this analysis list over here, and may you fall more in love with music every day.